This is our afternoon reading for temperature and humidity. The eggs are on day 2, and the temperature is 99.5 and the humidity is 55. We've been documenting on the calendar, but we're gonna start with a new like a poster board that we can show what eggs, the daily temperature and humidity readings and what day we're on and what eggs are candled and how they look and whatnot, and then we're going to put that up for you guys. Today, since there's not a whole lot going on in here yet, because all we can see is little eggies that are turning around and around, figured we would do something fun and learn some other facts about eggs. Since we've got roughly another 5 days before we can candle the eggs and do something fun with them, we're going to do other short projects and fun activities that help you guys learn about eggs and some fun facts about eggs. Filming with children is an interesting thing, All right, so Jess is going to be my artist for that project, and we're going to talk about some things that, are fun facts about eggs, things you need to know before you put your eggs in the incubator, like not washing the eggs because it destroys the protein, the protective cover that prevents bacteria from entering the shell, and that is called the bloom or the cuticle. And that also helps reduce moisture loss, especially if you're going to be incubating them. Now, make sure you don't wash the eggs because you'll take the cuticle or the bloom off, which is the outer coating of the shell. Now, the shell itself has thousands of tiny pores, 7 to 17,000 tiny pores on the surface of the shell, and that coating keeps those pores from absorbing bacteria or letting moisture out of the shell, so that when the chicken is hatching or developing, they don't get dehydrated, because water, it's always important. Some hen breeds can lay up to 300 eggs a year. You cannot have a fertilized egg without a rooster, but chickens will still lay eggs even without a rooster there. They just won't be baby chickens inside. The eggs are the least expensive source of high quality protein for our diets. They have 6 grams of protein and only 70 calories. And the U.S. produces about 75 billion eggs a year, which is about 10% of the world's supply. Now, there are some really good websites that offer virtual field trips. If you look at the agclassroom.org, and I'll put some of the links down for you guys to follow later if you're interested, they offer virtual field trips for the American Egg Board and Discovery Education. The Anatomy of an Egg and the exploratorium.edu is what we're going to be drawing today. That has come from eggsafety.org, and they have a section on learning and questions about eggs. So I'll put the link down for that, and it has images that can help you understand, but this is Jess's interpretation of what that looks like.
I draw better small scale.
He said he draws better small scale, but he's going to play teacher with the whiteboard today. And Trinity, nobody can see your little chicken.
Stylish chicken.
Trinity has drawn a stylish chicken. Okay, so we're going to go over the composition of an egg. The shell, which is predominantly made of calcium carbonate. The shells can be white or brown depending on the breed of the chicken, but it does not affect the egg quality or cooking characteristics or the nutritive value of the shell. Or
the pretty ones are green and blue?
The pretty ones that are green and blue, they're the same as the pretty ones that are blue or brown and the pretty ones that are white. Now, the difference in grocery store eggs and regular farm eggs is, you're never going to be able to hatch a grocery store egg, and they have to be stored in the refrigerator because those eggs are cleaned and scrubbed and washed, and they do not have the bloom, which is the coating on the shell. The the bloom or the cuticle has been washed off in the process. So those have to stay in the refrigerator. And that's why you find sometimes people with farm eggs can leave those on the counter. As long as they're not scrubbed or washed, you can leave those on the counter for a while because they still have that protective coating. So the outer covering of an egg is called the shell, and it is made mostly of calcium. Now those who have chickens, when you use your egg shells, you could give it back to your chickens because they have to have the calcium in their system to make the shell. These eggs are made from the inside out. Fertilized eggs, they get the yolk that's fertilized, and then it goes through the chicken's system and adds the white, and then the membrane on the inside, the shell membrane, and then the thin albumin, which is the nearest to the shell. When you boil eggs and you get that stringy, tissue papery stuff, that is called the albumin. No, the white is called the albumin, and the membranes are called, well, they're just called membrane, the thin albumin.
So the thin albumin and the thick albumin.
Yeah. The thin albumin is the different, the different thicknesses of the white of the egg are called albumin. There's the thin albumin on the outside nearest to the shell, and the thick albumin, when you crack an egg in the pan and you see the yolk, and then there's a section of white that sits just like the yolk kind of right outside of it, and then there's the thin part that runs all over the pan when you're frying it. That's the thick albumin on the inside and the thin albumin on the outside. The two membranes near inner and outer shell, those surround the albumin. Trinity. They provide a protective barrier against bacterial penetration. And an air cell forms between those two membranes, and that's what's up at the top. It goes all the way around, but when you're hatching the eggs, you put the pointy end down so that air is available when the chicken starts to get too big and needs room. Are you working on the yolk now?
Working on the yolk.
Working on the yolk now. The yolk is the yellow portion of the egg, and the color varies with feed of the hen, but it doesn't indicate the nutritive content. The major source of egg vitamins and minerals and fat is the yolk. Now when there's a little section on this side right here, Trinity. There's a little section here on this side. There. And that is called the germinal disc. Now, in a fertilized egg, what you're going to find if you crack it open, which you can still eat fertilized eggs, there's no difference in nutritive value. If you have a rooster in with your hens, you're going to want to make sure you get your eggs every day. That way they don't have a chance to have a baby bird in it. But you're not going to have a baby bird in a grocery store egg ever. Or if you collect your eggs every day, you'll never have to worry about that. In a fertilized egg, the yolk will have a bullseye pattern. When you crack it open, which you can't hatch it if it's cracked open, so it wouldn't matter if it was fertile or not. But when you crack the egg open, there's a circle, which is like the germinal disc. And in a fertilized egg, thank you. I'm going to use orange for the purpose of this. Draw the circle right there. In a fertilized egg, you'll have what looks like a bullseye. It'll be slightly darker in color than the rest of the yolk, and then you'll have a little white speck in the middle of that darker circle. That means the egg was fertilized. Now you can still eat those. There's no difference in the value. The only change that would occur with that is if you left it out under a hen or put it in an incubator. Now, the outside or the vitelline yolk membrane, it holds the yolk's contents, and that's called a membrane. The stringy part of the whites, which he's drawn in maroon up here, those hold the yolk in place, and they're called, I'm probably going to butcher this, they're called chalazae. The twisted cord-like strands of egg white that anchor the yolk in the center of the egg. Prominent chalazae indicates freshness. So as the egg ages, these will get softer and more fluid. Now, the fresher the egg, the more visible these are going to be.
And they look just like a helix when you crack open an egg.
And
you
you
can see the dark white, and it looks like a helix.
Say that again. I don't think they heard you.
So there's a helix look when you crack open a fresh chicken egg. Inside, then when it breaks apart, the yolk attaches to the albumin, and it actually looks like that helix pattern. If you ever seen that on a very fresh egg.
And you get those with very fresh eggs. So. I know this is kind of a learning, fact-heavy video, but there's things that we have to find to do while we're waiting for the eggs to hatch. What'd you say? You want to scramble eggs?
It's scripted.
Oh, it is not scripted. I'm to cut
Why
notes.
did you say scrambled eggs?
I don't know. It sounded like she said scrambled eggs. So this is the current anatomy of an egg, and the shell itself is made up of calcium, which is good for people as well. If you wash the eggs well enough and you grind them into a dust, they work very well as supplements. Check with your doctor first, because I'm not a doctor, but like I said, we're not pros.
Make sure that if you
Albumin.
do that, it has to be squished enough where they know it's not egg. Or else they'll start eating their own.
That's right. Trinity made a good point. If you're feeding calcium via eggs to your chickens, make sure you crush. What we do is we bake them and then we grind them up or squish them up really small. Because if you feed whole eggs to your chickens, they will eat all of the eggs, and it's a hard habit to break. If you want to eat any eggs, make sure your chickens don't know that they're good. Because chickens will eat their own eggs. What did you learn, Tony? Eggs?
Stuff in them.
You learned about the eggs and the stuff in them?
I learned that I want all.
Trinity said she learned that she wanted an omelet.
The cat learned that he likes eggs.
Like even Smokey Joe learned something new today.
She's like, what do you want?
And Barron is all happy. So, in the coming days, we're going to be putting up charts so that we can keep track of the humidity and the temperature. We've been documenting it on the little calendar, but that's not enough room for us to do what we need to do and be able to share with you guys what we want you to see. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for these little guys to do anything special,
First candling will be Sunday.
the first candling will be on Sunday night or Sunday evening after it gets dark. So our first candling will be on Sunday. But until then, we're just going to find other neat little trivia and facts to teach you guys a little bit about chickens and the things that we eat from them. So have a great day, and we will see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. How much more did you
And that's your reading for the afternoon.
Still?
Oh, that was another thing. We've already added water. You have to do that every day to keep the humidity up.
And
So
Smokey Joe
that's
says-
one thing. If the tray still has water in it, we don't add any more, because the humidity is stable and it's using the right amount of humidity. So until next time, bye everybody.
And Smokey Joe says goodbye.
And Smokey